Hello and welcome to the Pulse podcast. My name is Amanda Livingston and I'm the president of the Salem-Roanoke County Chamber of Commerce. We're here at the beautiful Red Velocity Studios with our special guest today, president of Wheeler Media Solutions, Leonard Wheeler. Welcome. Thanks for being with us today.
With pleasure.
Yes, it's great to have you, and I'm excited to hear a little bit about your company. You've been president of Wheeler for over 30 years.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So we are we've had a presence in Roanoke since our beginnings. We're very atypical of what the media landscape looks like these days, being a family company versus many owned by big conglomerates and much bigger footprints across the nation. But we're the owners of Star Country 94.9, Q99, K92, R&B station, Vibe FM, WFIR News. We also have a sports radio station on 101.1 FM and a rock station, the Rock Channel at 97.3 FM, as well as a digital agency, Wheeler Digital.
Yeah, that's a lot of stations to remember.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't forget one. So, yeah.
We've had such a great relationship, and so appreciate the support that you all have given us at the Chamber. From having seminars, you guys have participated with the digital side. We've gotten to hear from Cameron and Freddie on how small businesses can grow with the digital end of things. Right. And certainly Brett is on our board, so we certainly appreciate that and all of his help with the work that we do with Feeding Southwest Virginia. And with last year the hurricane, and then this year with the government shutdown, you all come together and really helped us. So we really appreciate the community engagement. I'm guessing that sort of kind of speaks to the family side. I mean, you're a family-based company.
Well, yes. And hopefully, our staff can speak to that better than I. And hope that's what they feel like, that it is. There's a sense of family at the company. So we recently updated our revised or updated our mission statement, and that really came easy. I mean, it basically is creating an emotional connection, with our audience, with our listeners, inspiring our communities and creating platforms for the success of our advertisers. And that really came easy because that is what we did. And it wasn't as though we created that statement and then said, okay, now we need to do those things. It really was that's how we operate. The emotional connection with the community and our audience is critical. And serving our advertisers is basically, being of service to others, and so I'm very blessed and staffed to help. You cite Brett, our mornings person on 94.9. He's just one of the many blessings I have on staff. Freddie and Cameron are our digital team, and we do a great deal with many businesses in the local area and also in other states, helping them in terms of the digital landscape, which is pretty complex in itself.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention all of the good work that we do at the station with our chamber check-in with Gene Morano every week. I was driving somewhere for an early meeting, and it was 7:50 in the morning, I think Tuesday morning, and it came on. It was funny to hear myself on the radio for a minute there, but I really appreciate that we've been able to use that platform to shine a light on companies, small businesses, in our chamber. So that's been great too.
Well, we have many assets in terms of the radio stations. WFIR is really a key one. And there, in FIR, we produce 35 hours a week of local news and local sports. So that's, very critical part of our company is basically, serving the community. And there's really not another radio station in the landscape here that has the news commitment to the level that we do.
FIR is my go-to. My husband
listens.
Appreciate that. Yeah, okay. I love news. I love to listen in, and my husband is a big fan of Star Country, so he loves his Brett and Taylor every morning.
All right. Glad we have the whole family.
Yes, for sure. So talk to me a little bit about how things have evolved with like transitional radio to now everything that you're doing on the digital side.
Well, one, it certainly has evolved in terms of, one, the landscape, as I mentioned, is really on the media landscape, whether it's television, whether it's radio, you really are dominated by large companies and huge national footprints. That is something that sets us apart, that we're atypical. We're a family-owned company, and not just part of a big conglomerate. Also, digital is certainly an advent that, is certainly once upon a time, newspaper was where advertisers felt like they perhaps needed to be or had to be. Digital is definitely, an important toolbox for us in terms of how we help businesses grow and succeed. Some may use it in complement with radio. We work with a lot of clients that we help them on their digital strategy, just on the digital side. And just as you mentioned, Cameron and Freddie, we're very blessed with a great digital team and technology partners, and that's a very successful part of our company, and increasingly so.
Yeah. So in terms of the digital, how do you cut through the noise? I mean, there's just so much out there.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the challenge for businesses, is not the lack of options that there are, but how many options that there are. And I think that's really where, our team plays an important role to kind of help, create some clarity with that. You can't be, everywhere. Our team really works with, clients to kind of focus on, fewer channels, what's going to create some clarity and greater success. Because if you're trying to be everywhere, it's hard to measure what's even working at all. And so that's one of the things that for, any business, it's just more difficult because of how many options are out there. So really having a trusted partner, whoever that trusted partner may be, is really important to kind of, guide them in that, because otherwise you have your whole business you need to run, and you can't spend 100% of your time on the marketing.
What would you say some of the biggest pitfalls are for small businesses trying to advertise and, promote themselves?
I think one's trying to emulate large national brands and trying to kind of maybe do the same thing. I think you need to focus on, what succeeds for you as a local business, what's going to resonate. I think trying to sometimes spend too little, for sure, or spend it on so many different channels and trying to be everywhere versus really kind of becoming focused and targeted. So I think that's, our guys do a great job at Wheeler Digital to kind of help somebody navigate that and focus, and then also pay attention to it to see what's working, to really target, but also pivot if you find there are some avenues or paths that are working better than another.
Sure. I mean, with AI, everything is just changing so fast. In terms of shifts, do you see any shifts in terms of like consumer trends with radio or digital, for that matter?
Yeah, on both fronts, it's just about how are you going to connect with the audience, and also I think the story you tell. So that really works in any medium. The better you can kind of tell your story and connect with your audience, whether that's on radio or whether that's on digital, and certainly video is a big part of digital these days. Having something that can kind of tell your story. How do you as a business make that emotional connection with the audience is important, as well as for our business, how we make that emotional connection.
Yeah. And so kind of along those lines, where do you see this going in 3 to 5 years in terms of trends?
Yeah, I mean, on the audio side, I think, still it's going to be how do we, again, our North Star is going to be our mission statement, how we create that emotional connection with our audience, how we aspire and inspire our community, and how we create platforms for the success of our advertisers. That's our North Star. If we succeed at that, then we're going to help customers. We're going to, serve our community, serve our audience, and that is what really our guide needs to be. It's, definitely AI. Everybody's, aware of that. That certainly is a tool that helps accomplish a lot of the heavy lifting. On the digital side, it can help you in terms of what you're executing, it might be able to tell you what's working, but it won't necessarily tell you why something's working. So you're still going to need strategy. You're still going to need trusted partners. to kind of help you, navigate that landscape, because that increase of kind of short term or short form video will continue to grow. I think that's a certainty in that.
Yeah, so you talked about connecting, with the audience. I feel like I saw that happen in front of my eyes with everything with the 24 hurricane and how it hit Southwest Virginia and how you all came together to help the community. Do you have a story of where you can kind of explain that whole connection and how that works with a business or?
Yeah, I think, and the fact is we really can't take credit for anything. We're just a conduit. But the audience is so responsive. When you do build that emotional connection with your audience, they are just so responsive. And so we've certainly, the hurricane relief and raising, aid for that happened so quickly and was such an outpouring. Many years back on Hurricane Katrina, each of our stations did a different thing to kind of help in the fundraising of that. I thought, yeah, we can collectively maybe get 6 figures of monies raised. Well, we exceeded $500,000. I mean, that just blowed me over. So the audience is really, they're the ones who did it. It's not like, we as a company wrote a $500,000 check. We're the conduit to make that happen. But it only works if you have that emotional connection with your audience. And I feel very blessed in the strength of staff that help us do that.
How do you create a culture where you have that kind of staff that can create that connection?
Ideally, I think if you, love who you work for, that's going to be a great place to be in life. But from my perspective, I'm blessed that I'm not a public company. I don't have to serve a public stock market or stockholders. For us, it is basically kind of how can we help others succeed and kind of support, a family environment.
So moving away from work, what sort of charges you up? What do you do for fun? What fills your battery?
Travel would be definitely for me, my wife as well, fortunately. So having those experiences. And I think when you have the opportunity to travel to other countries, it really just broadens your view of the world as a whole. We've ended up being Pied Pipers of taking people to Kenya every year. Not something I expected, but we have friends that have a little safari camp in Kenya. And we went in 2016 when I told my wife, this is the only time we're going to Africa in our life, so what else is really important you want to do? And we did a long trip because I thought, yeah, you do that once in your life, you check that off, and you come back and share that with people, and it's a lot different than talking about your Myrtle Beach vacation. And we have so many people say, well, I'd love to do that someday, or that's on my bucket list. And we try to hand them a card for our friend's business and say, well, call them. They'll give you the family and friends discount. And we always repeatedly got this, well, are you going again? We'll go with you. So that has been a really exciting thing to.
What do you do, like safaris?
Yeah, they have our friends at a little safari camp. And you get the opportunity to take people on a trip of a lifetime. It's like taking 10-year-olds to Disney World, but they're better behaved and you get to have a drink with them at night. And it really is a spiritual experience. It is constantly, the reinforcement we get from people is it's a trip of a lifetime. And we've connected with a Maasai school and have been able to just elevate that school and what it has from one that didn't have running water or even mattresses on metal beds to, because there it's not like kids can be picked up and taken to school and then taken back home to a village. So it is kind of a boarding school. They go for weeks or months at a time, and so to be able to kind of just make that impact, that's something as well that's been really gratifying to us, but to everybody who goes along with us to be able to kind of contribute to something like that. So
yeah, that sounds amazing. So if you were to look back and give your younger self some advice, what would you say?
I would tell myself, or I would tell anybody at a young age, the sooner you figure out in life how to elevate the lives of others, the more rewarding your own life's going to be.
I love that. And so tell me about living here. What do you like about the Valley?
Well, we don't have ocean views, but I think anywhere that you can be, whether it's the back deck of a friend's house or up on a trail looking at our mountain views, I think that's the beauty of the Valley, and fortunately you get to see it from any number of places and perspectives.
Yeah. And I've been asking everybody, what's their favorite restaurant?
Mine's gone. It was Angler. That was a very kind of cool, unassuming place. But River and Rail is a place we enjoy. It's kind of has a nice vibe and space and feels like a neighborhood place. We enjoy it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So I work with 430 small to medium, even large businesses. Yeah. I guess my final question would be, like, what advice could you give them at this point in, our current economy and, with everything going so crazy with AI? What advice would you have for an entrepreneur, small business person trying to grow their business?
I think, it's going to be having a focus and a clarity. It's not trying to be everywhere. But I think looking at one medium probably first. If you're a small business, looking at one medium and really trying to get focused and concentrate on that before you kind of, broaden out to others. And that's not exclusive to us. That it can be somebody picking even another medium. But I think spreading yourself too thin, whether it's too thin on too many digital channels or too thin on any number of medias, isn't going to serve you best in the long run.
So kind of focus so you can measure.
Yeah.
And then pivot if you need to, or just continue invest in that medium.
Sure. And then, the more if you focus on kind of one place and then expand out. And certainly we've had, a client that really exponentially grew their business by focusing on radio in a big way. That was a big priority. It wasn't just our stations, but we were a part of it. But then when they grew to such success and expanded budgets, well, then they included other mediums. We were fortunate to be a part of kind of the core. And then they kind of, but now you'll see them on television, you'll see them on outdoor. But had they at the start tried to be everywhere and done all of those, I just don't think they would have had the budget to succeed and concentrate on one enough.
Kind of throwing spaghetti up on the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, it's you need to have a focus and strategy and not try to be everywhere for sure.
Well, thank you so much. It's been fun chatting with you and learning about your business and you individually. Thanks for being on.
With pleasure.
Well, thank you all for being with us today on the Pulse Podcast. I'm Amanda Livingston with the Salem-Roanoke County Chamber at Red Velocity, and I will see you next time.